Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. So, why the strawberry shortcake recipe? As Kate and I were talking about this topic, she shared this very meaningful strawberry shortcake recipe. And so we started thinking about how cybersecurity should be bite-sized and consumable by everyone. And yes, Kate and I followed the recipe and made our strawberry shortcakes. It was my first time ever baking, so thank you, Kate, for empowering me, getting me out of my comfort zone, and doing something different and meaningful. So why the cybersecurity comparison to dessert? Because both depend on strong foundations, careful layers, and end-to-end thinking.
Exactly.
So here we go. My name is Jude Wellington. I run ITMP LLC. We are a startup. I'm also the CDF and CICD West Coast Meetup organizer. And as a founder, I'm wearing every hat in the company, and cybersecurity has to become a priority. And joining me on this talk is Kate Scarcella. So, Kate, please introduce yourself.
Yes, so I'm a cybersecurity architect with over 20 years of experience. I have a Master's of Science in Information Security from Nova Southeastern University and a certified information security system professional. So let's do this.
Yeah, let's do this. So, Kate, you know, today our engagement is going to look a little different. And we're going to talk about building a cybersecurity culture, one that's foundational, repeatable, and actually consumable for everyone involved.
We're going to do this, what you might not expect through the lens of baking a strawberry shortcake.
Right. It's a dessert that's been around for decades, right? So sure, there's many variations, maybe fancier plating, a twist on the cream or cake, but at the end of the day, the core ingredients haven't changed.
That will be the main theme throughout this presentation because just like these ingredients that don't change, it's the same, believe it or not, for cybersecurity. While we've piled on new tools, flashy frameworks, and trendy buzzwords, but the foundation of resilient security comes down to a few consistent ingredients: people, process, and mindset.
Absolutely. And so our goal today is to not just talk about shifting left, we want to shift the conversation entirely to show why a secure culture is a real strategy and how it can be inclusive, sustainable, and even, dare we say it, consumable.
So let's bake this in from the beginning, right? Let's make
Yep,
cybersecurity something everyone can be a part of and proud of.
absolutely. So, Kate, how in the world did this happen? Cybersecurity has been a complicated mess, and it's like we've dumped this burden of national infrastructure onto everyday folks like me and say, hey, good luck. They're trying to juggle compliance and patching and endpoint protection and software vulnerabilities, all while we're, trying to run our business. Frankly, it's a burden we're just not meant to carry. And in many cases, we simply can't. Eh, As a small business owner, Kate, where do I begin?
So, first, I definitely, your pain that you feel, just so you know, it's not just with you. It's across organizations everywhere, truly. It's like, and what we're doing is we're asking small business owners to suddenly become a part-time security analyst.
Yeah.
And the way that we have responded, it's like watching 5-year-olds play soccer.
I remember that that's such a visual. I remember seeing our kids, chasing around this ball in these groups and no positions or no
Yeah.
strategy.
And while it's endearing, right, to watch everyone run at, watching the 5-year-olds run after, the little ball, but watching everyone run after the latest threat, something happens, boom, SQL Slammer hits, and we react, and then we scramble to build products after the fact. It's the cybersecurity version of whack-a-mole, totally
Mm,
reactive. I will never forget SQL Slammer when that hit. And our response to that, we beefed up antivirus tools,
mm.
developed malware analysis platforms, rolled out intrusion detection and improved intrusion prevention systems. But all that was after the fact. It's like installing locks after a break-in.
Exactly. You know, we're we started building a whole security industry on these reactive tools. I was just at RSA, and yes, while they're valuable, they're only part of the puzzle. It feels like we've lost the plot here. We've built these massive castles with lots of tools, but not systems of resilience. And, that's where this analogy shifts for me. Maybe what we need isn't just better locks, it's better nutrition, right?
Yeah.
Like food groups. Think about it. We've got different categories that keep a system healthy.
It's a cool thought, nutrition and cybersecurity and food groups. What I can personally say is that security architecture isn't just one giant product. It's
Hmm.
a balanced meal. So your network security, those are your grains. That's foundational. Your application security, your fruits and veggies, full of nuance and complexity. Database security, maybe the protein, high value and deeply sensitive. Identity and access management, dairy, because wow, they're huge. And let's just say that's what keeps the bones of the system strong.
Mhm.
Security analytics and incident response, that's the oil and the fats. You don't need it in excess, but it's vital when something burns.
Oh man, I love that. So instead of, piling on random tools, we think like nutritionists. So we ask, is your environment getting the right balance of ingredients, right?
Yes, and it's no more chasing the soccer ball. It's time to pick positions, design the playbook, and build the team with the right training and diet. It's time for
Mhm.
cybersecurity to really grow up. Think about strategy over reaction, architecture over chaos. No more, throwing spaghetti on a wall and looking at what sticks. And
Yeah,
no more whack-a-mole, right?
right, right. And maybe, just maybe, we stop expecting regular folks like me to carry the weight of bad system design. So So we've gotten our ingredients, right? Network application, database, identity, analytics, but just having those ingredients on the counter doesn't necessarily make a strawberry shortcake, right? You need a recipe. So Kate, how do we put this together in a way that actually works?
Well, we start by the strategy. That's the first thing. Think of the directions in a recipe, order, timing, methods. Cybersecurity has had to grow up and start thinking this way too. One of the earliest recipes was the CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So, late 90s, this is when this um, framework came out, and it still shows up everywhere, especially in critical infrastructure because of the legacy hardware systems.
So it's like flour or sugar and eggs of security, right? You can't bake anything without those three concepts.
Right. But then as things got more chaotic, cyber attacks became more advanced and faster. We had to change how we think.
Yeah.
That's when we saw left of boom come.
Mhm.
And borrowed from military lingo, it asked, can we do something before the bomb goes off, before the virus spreads?
Right. So instead of just cleaning up after the cake collapses, we should be checking the oven temperature. We should be prepping the pans. We anticipate what could go wrong.
Then that's right where the strategies like proactive threat intelligence,
Mm,
system hardening, security engineering come in. You
yeah,
want to catch the issue before the first line of code is ever written or before that 0 day is exploited.
right. Um, and so that leads to another modern approach, this shift left approach. We realize that waiting until the cake is in the oven to ask, hey, did anyone check for allergens? Is a little late, right?
That's exactly it. Shift left means baking security into the process from the start. You don't sprinkle security on top at the end. You mix it in early, during design, during development.
Right. So, if I'm thinking about this in the kitchen, left of boom is prepping your kitchen, checking your ingredients, sanitizing your tools, preheating the oven. Shift left is planning the recipe itself better, writing it in a way that avoids failure from the start.
And the CIA triad, right? That's the reason
Mm,
we're making the shortcake in the first place. We wanted it to be protected. That's our confidentiality, untampered. That's integrity and ready to serve when needed, availability. So we don't get rid of these foundational concepts.
I'm giggling because cybersecurity as a shortcake, I mean, who knew, right?
Yeah, right, right. Just like baking. And if you skip a step or throw in ingredients in the wrong order, you might still end up with something, but you probably won't want to eat it.
So true. Oh, um, so Kate, here's the question here, okay? In the current emphasis in cybersecurity now, mostly on securing coding, I mean, with all the shift left talk, have we just shoved all of this burden onto developers?
You're not wrong. We absolutely have. Developers have absolutely been handed a lot, but we need to zoom out. Secure coding is foundational, yes, but real security is not just in the code. It's in the culture, it's in the people, the process, the technology, the full mix.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the truth is, most breaches, they don't just start with one line of code, I would think. They start with a human decision, right?
Yes, and this traditional shift left says fix it in development. But true resilience means shifting mindsets, not just milestones.
That's what we need to bake in, Kate. Security isn't a checklist, it is a mindset.
And we go back to our strawberry shortcake analogy. We've
Hmm.
been dumping all these different security strategies and ingredients into the bowl. Some of them work beautifully, but others don't mix well at all.
Yeah, like trying to take a bite of a shortcake that's all sugar. Oh man. Or worse, even all salt.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's not just about one ingredient, it's about the right
Yeah,
combination, proportion, and mixing.
that's right. So what are these fresh ingredients, Kate, of a strong cybersecurity culture?
First, if you, the obvious, if you need multiple, you will need multiple ingredients. You want a great dessert, you use fresh fruit, real whipped cream, not shortcuts.
That's right. And that applies to teams too. Security can't live in just the SOC. It includes everyone from the summer intern to the execs, even to the contractors, right?
Right. And from a person who's like been in SOCs forever, security operations centers, I can tell you it's good for us to get out. You bake security into the onboarding, communications, office culture. It's posters that say security starts with you. It's making everyone a part of this recipe, not just icing on the top.
Yeah. So, uh, maybe the most important underrated ingredient of all is respecting that every role adds flavor, meaning security isn't just technical, it's organizational. And when we mix it right, that's when we get something truly sweet.
What an awesome idea.
Yeah. All right. So, Kate, what are some of these areas you've seen where there are real gaps in cybersecurity culture? And of course, how do we translate this? Maybe back to baking.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to my mind, always like high up there on this list, is misaligned incentives.
Mm,
Speed over security. That happens a lot. It's like trying to
hmm.
bake a cake faster by turning the oven up to 500 degrees. You're just
Right.
going to burn the outside and ruin the inside.
Yeah. Like cut corners. You can't just get you will get undercooked a center or a charred crust. It's not exactly secure. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's risk decisions made without security input. That's like second on this list because that's baking without a recipe. That's throwing in what you think belongs, hoping for the best. It might look okay for a minute, but it won't hold up under pressure.
And what about the people we forget, like the contractors or the non-technical, staff? That's like realizing you don't have fresh strawberries, and so you stop the whole bake?
No,
No.
no, exactly. You adapt, right? You bake with what you have. Maybe it's frozen berries this time.
Yeah,
In security, that means including everyone. Even if they're not in the core kitchen, give them what they need to contribute safely. Even
right.
if they're only here part-time.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, here's another one. No psychological safety. If people are afraid to
Mm,
speak up about mistakes or suspicious behavior, that's a recipe for disaster. Like it happened to me. I was a victim of a cybersecurity scam, and I did not know what questions to ask, and I was afraid to even raise my hand up to get
mm.
the help that I really should have needed.
And you're not alone. Today, the cyber threats are very, very real, and they're fooling even the best of the cyber security professionals that are out there.
Yeah.
So, in terms of bringing this back to baking, what's worse than a group bake when there's no one is that no one says, "Hey, the oven's not on." Then you pull the cake out and it's raw. We need to build in processes that
Yeah.
makes it safe to raise concerns. No shame, no blame. And one of the things that I talk a lot about with cybersecurity, we often think that, oh, this is fun, threat hunting and things like this. But a lot of cybersecurity has to do with process and procedures, making people read the text, to see what's
Yes.
there, so
Absolutely. Yeah.
working from home, that has brought in
Mm-hmm.
challenges as well, especially for cybersecurity professionals. But
Right.
sometimes the ingredients are harder to access. No direct line to IT, no hallway conversations. But again, it's about adapting the recipe, not abandoning it.
Yeah. Because really, you can't fix cultural bugs with technical patches, right? You can't solve a broken cake with more frosting, can you?
No, you fix a cake by improving the batter, the oven, the technique, and
Yeah.
sometimes the team.
Yeah. Right. So So we've touched on, end-to-end thinking a few times. But let's break it down. What does that really look like in cybersecurity?
It means no one gets to say, that's not my job when it comes to
Hmm.
security. It's not just
Yeah.
about the dev team or IT or compliance. It's about everyone, from the first idea to the final delivery and everything in between.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Everyone needs to get involved. I've always used this example, if a stranger walks into your house, what do you hand him the keys and say, "Hey, help yourself to the fridge or the files or the family photos?" Of course not.
And I just love that example. It's a perfect example. And of course, no way would you do that, right? That's exactly what happens though, when we don't think end to end. No access controls, no boundary,
Yeah.
just assuming someone else thought of it.
And if we go back to our strawberry shortcake strategy, end-to-end thinking is about layers. It's not just about the frosting, it's the shortcake, it's the berries, it's the whipped cream, all of it layered right.
So I really like how you talked about a strawberry shortcake strategy. That should be the name of the
Sure.
next cybersecurity strategy. It's called strawberry shortcake strategy. So cultural layers matter. We need security baked in across roles, not just in developers' hands. And I'll say this shift left push, it's
Yeah.
incomplete. Putting all that weight on developers, it's like handing the baker rotten berries and expecting a gourmet dessert. It's like good luck, right?
Especially, when the stakes are rising so fast, right? Exploits are going up exponentially. Look at what happened last summer, right? A top tier cybersecurity vendor's own sensors got exploited over what, 8.5 million systems impacted, the biggest outage in IT history, cross-industry chaos, billions in damage.
Yeah, and I'm sure it wasn't just me who had some personal impact. It's not, it was a failure well, it wasn't just a failure of technology. It was this failure in end-to-end awareness, process, and shared responsibility.
Right. Because, great security isn't just built,
Yeah.
it has to be sustained. And it's a living, layered cake, so to speak. And if one layer collapses, the whole thing could fall apart, right?
So we need to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Layer the culture like we layer the cake. Start early, include everyone, and
Yeah.
never assume someone else already did the hard part.
Right. Right. So here we are, Kate. We talked about shifting left, but I think we've been thinking too narrowly here, right? It's not just about shifting left anymore. It's shifting up, it's shifting down, it's shifting across.
And that's where the real transformation happens. You're exactly
Yeah,
right. Because not every organization has the luxury of a dedicated cybersecurity team, like
right.
right? Many small and mid-sized businesses don't even have a CISO, let alone a security program office.
Right. Yeah, I am the see everything. And the shift left strategy just doesn't scale the same way for them.
Yeah.
They need a security model that works for everyone in every corner of the business, small corners up to the large corners, correct?
Yeah. So let's break it down.
Yeah.
Up is about leadership. Executives have to champion security as a business priority. They set the tone, they allocate the time, budget, and expectations.
Yes. And down is
Yeah.
all about teams and individuals. It's about embedding security into daily habits. Think locking our screens, right? Verifying strange emails, reporting suspicious behavior. It's everyone's job.
And you bring up a really good point. Locking screens. We can all do that.
Yeah.
That's a culture. That's a cybersecurity culture. Verifying strange emails. That's something we can all do. So when we
Mm.
think about now going across, because cybersecurity doesn't just stop at IT, It
Yeah.
hits HR, legal, marketing, sales. They all have skin in the game. What are the onboarding practices?
Mhm.
How are you handling customer data?
Yeah.
Everyone has to be embedded into these security and into these security decisions.
Right, right. This is especially critical for small to medium businesses like me. You know, they can't afford silos or these 90-page policies that no one really reads, right? They really need security that's practical, that's visible, and baked into how we work every day.
Yeah, think of baking like sharing a kitchen. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter if you're making cupcakes or a wedding cake. You're all going to be using the same space, same
yep,
fridge, same tools. So everyone has to clean up, label the ingredients, and protect what's in the oven.
right. And that's how you make cybersecurity work, regardless of the company size. It's not just left, but up, down, and across.
And look, when everyone contributes, look at the beautiful cake.
Voila. And that is the
Oh,
cake that
it's
I ended up
beautiful.
making thanks to Kate's recipe. I really was just so honored to have been able to make this cake. So Kate, after all the baking and layering and shifting, what's our call to action? What do we want people to do with all of this information?
It's simple. Get involved. We need
Yeah.
you. We need you. If you felt burdened, if you're tired of this fragmented strategies, or you just want to be part of building something better, come join us.
Absolutely. Yes. So we're inviting you to be a part of this cybersecurity special interest group under the CD Foundation. This isn't just another committee. It is a place where real world practitioners, developers, architects, and business leaders come together to ask, how do we do this differently?
And I'll just like to end bringing in my silly little pan that I have here, because once you have the foundational ingredients or the
Yeah,
foundational concepts, you know you can then use different pans and do different things,
right.
and but we just need those foundational principles down and in this recipe.
Yes, yes. And, we're baking a new recipe here,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
something that's practical, something that's inclusive, something that's resilient, right?
Yeah, it's been around for, hey, strawberry shortcake has been around for decades.
Yeah.
And it's a phenomenal dessert, and we can make cybersecurity phenomenal. We all can make cybersecurity phenomenal.
Absolutely. So please join the conversation, help shape the strategy, and let's make security something we all own and something that finally works. Call to action. Please join us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the conference, everyone. Bye.
Bye.